welcome to another video of Walk with Phil, and I'm in West Bromwich, and today I'm going to take you down Dagger Lane. Dagger Lane is the site of a very famous house called Hill House, and it was lived in by a certain James Eaton, who served with Nelson during the Battle of Trafalgar. So I'm going to have a look at the house in a little bit more detail and see what's actually going on with it. Yeah, I'm standing on the junction of a couple of streets here. We've got just ahead of me, which is where we'll be walking, it's Lloyd Street, and just to the left of this pub here, the Crown and Cushion, is Dagger Street. And just take you up, just show you up there. There's New Street there to the right, and we've got Dartmouth Park here to my left. And if you carry on just over that brow of that hill there, it'll take you into the main town of West Bromwich. And of course here stands the Crown and Cushion on this junction, and it's still one of those traditional pubs. When I say traditional, it ain't been taken over by the bar and grills that you see around now. Just over there where you got Sega Hand Car Wash, used to be a petrol garage. And just ahead there where that road is Park Street. That was where West Bromwich Albion used to play in the 1880s. It's a very windy day today as we pass one of the entrances to Dartmouth Park, which is the car park entrance. I did do a video of Dartmouth Park a while back. Check that one out if you can. Congregational Hall, the Christadelphians. Christadelphians, I wonder what they do. Sounds like some kind of secret society, the Christadelphians, doesn't it? Yeah, just ahead there you can see one of the fields of Dartmouth Park, West Bromwich's premier park. We've still got some very old terrace houses along this particular stretch. We haven't quite got to Dagger Lane yet, we're still on Lloyd Street. But there are some many newer types here over to my left. We're filming now in September. We're in the last throes of summer, I suppose. Well, today it does have that bit of autumnal feel about it. And as you can see just here on the corner of Woodward Street and Lloyd Street, a whole block here of terraced housing, all dating from the late 19th century. Many have still got their front doors leading onto the pavement outside. No garden frontages as such. Some of these houses here have had all the brickwork painted and modernised. This one on the corner in particular looks all modernised with a fairly new roof. And next to it we've got a lot of old original brickwork terrace housing. This particular house here is called Brewer's Cottage. Not sure if it's got any significance to a brewery. But just here now we've got the signage for Dagger Lane, so that's where we are now, and that's where we're going to go. We're going to take it right to the bottom and probably lead on to Church Vale as we go along. Very old parts now here on my left of Dagger Lane, and we got Slathwaite Road. There's one or two entrances to Dartmouth Park. So that's 2 so far. These are later terrace properties with their garden frontages. And here's the Salters Lane. One of the buildings that were just there where you see the signage for Salters Lane and the Sandwell Valley Visitor Centre. There's a brick wall there now, but beyond there you can see there's some newer houses. There used to be a hall, which would be classed as a large public or stately building, and it was just there where there was a hall built around about 1667. It was owned by William Turton, who was the owner of Oak House. His grandson, John Turton, he owned the place after 1725, and he was also one of the owners of Oak House at the time. But by 1845, this building that was on the corner of this junction of Dagger Lane and Salters Lane became owned by Lord Dartmouth, Lord Dartmouth's estate. And in the 19th century it did become part of a farm which was occupied by the Hall family, who were farmers. And this building was eventually demolished between 1894 and 1895. This is one of the roads that will take you to the Sandwell Valley Visitor Centre. Okay, we've come halfway down Salters Lane, and you can see this is the entrance now to Sandwell Valley Country Park. See, Salters Lane continues a bit further down towards the bottom there, with Warstone Drive just here off on the left. Just more or less opposite Salters Lane, we've got this road called Kenneth's Way, and there's this rather large house here on the corner of Kenneth's Way and Dagger Lane. Down Kenneth's Way. It's a very pleasant lane. It's a very leafy lane. You can see all these trees along here. There's been quite a few as we've made our way from the top. There's not many roads in West Bromwich that are tree lined. Another 20 miles an hour zone road as we're approaching a school just a little bit further down here on the right. Fine old houses here as well. It's all detached property there. Grand place. Black and white frontages. You can see the Dagger Lane now beginning to curve to the left, and here we have what we've come down to see, because I haven't a clue as to what's happening at this particular building. This building here is called Hill House. And also along here we have the school, named after the person who actually lived in Hill House, named James Eaton. He was served with Nelson during the Battle of Trafalgar. We've got lots of tree growth at the rear, and inside of the property here there's lots of tree growth again, climbing the side of its walls. The building to the side here doesn't look too bad actually, but it does look very unkempt obviously with all the foliage that's growing all around it. I was hoping to get a better look at Hill House actually, but we've got this fencing all surrounding it. We've got the school there to the rear of it, so we can't really get to anywhere in particular, but just to say that James Eaton lived here in Hill House, and the famous Nelson signal he quoted was, "England expects that every man will do his duty." James Eaton himself was born in London, but he settled here in West Bromwich, and he retired from the Navy as a commander in 1842. It was about 1816 that he bought this house, and he lived in it for the last 40 years of his life. It's also quoted that Charles Dickens actually came to this very house to visit James Eaton, which could be true, as it's been documented that Charles Dickens himself was in this particular area at the time. He did become a businessman, did James Eaton. He went into partnership with a few local coal mine owners and landowners, and apparently he was one of those people who had one of the better employers was James Eaton, because he was very concerned about the safety of his workers. He died here at this particular house, Hill House, on the 28th of February 1857 at the age of 71, and he's buried at All Saints Church up at All Saints Way. And if you come through the main door of the All Saints Church, you can see his headstone in front of the main door. So this has a lot of historical significance. It is a Grade 2 listed building, but that doesn't mean that it will stay here. It's not a Grade 1, but a Grade 2. And we can just take a look inside here. Yeah, I mean, look at the state of this. I mean, this has been like this for flipping ages now. I mean, I'm here out by this gate. There's a bit of a skip here, but look, I can just walk in and I can look at that. I mean, it's a very old house. It's a very historical house. We've got some empty colour gas bottles, dozens and dozens of them. A couple of trailers here. Maybe that was there to take stuff away, but the trailers are just dumped here. Piles of wood, piles of rubbish, tree growth here, obscuring the view of it. This could be a wonderful house if it was restored, and a museum obviously, so people can walk on and view it, and just like they do at the Oak House. Why can't it be turned into a museum? Why can't the council get on with improving this property and make this house glorious again? It's just crazy, absolutely crazy, that this is just not secure here. Anyway, I'll just go a bit further around the front here, and I've always seen vans just parked on this one, this bit of a pathway here. See, there's some original wall brickwork here at the front. As you can see, it's all been demolished. Yeah, there's a bit of a pathway here up to one of the doors, which I can walk along. You can see, look, the frontage here is just covered in weeds and foliage, but the door itself is secured, but again in a bad way. There used to be trees here. As you can see, they've all been lopped off, and many of the trees have been torn down here. Plenty of logs. There's plenty of sandwell waste bins there, well, the whole front of the house here seems to have been, a lot has been cleared away from the front of the house, but when it's ever going to become a fine old house again, it looks as though that it still looks a long way off. And you can see just here where it's totally unsecure, there's a gap in the fence, there's trailers here, and this really is a fire risk, isn't it? We've got here just piles and piles of wood, well, just wood, loads of it, old doors, floorboards. Total fire risk right in front of the house. It just seems crazy that this is allowed to happen in front of such a historical building. And I've just been told actually that somebody does still live in here, and I've just shown you the front and the front of the garden and the general state of this place. Apparently it's an elderly couple who live in the back of their property, and they've been living there for some time. But anyway, this gate's open, and this is Hill Farmhouse, just next to Hill House, and you can see Hill House Farm has been here for a very, very long time. Maps show this farm, I think it's from around the early 20th century, I believe. But look at all this in the back. You didn't know this was just off the school, would you? This will take you down into Sandwell Valley down there. Yeah, Hill House Farm. There's Hill House ahead of us. Let's just take you around some of these very old buildings here. They all look as though they're in a poor state. We've got a couple of security lights along the walls. There's a garage there with a bit of a padlock on. The roof seems in a fairly good state actually. But these are all paddocks where all the horses were kept. And more stables here. But there used to be a gate here that you could exit. Obviously that's been blocked. Okay, but as far as I'm aware, there's no preservation order on any of these particular buildings. So no, I wasn't even aware that we could have access to this old farm. That's Hill House Farm. There's a bit of a stable door open here. We'll look inside. There's a kiddie spade in there. I don't know if the kids playing here. Okay, so sadly we're going to have to leave Hill House behind. With a front garden full of pile of rubbish. It does appear to me that it has been let out to people in the past, judging by the satellite dish, and it's been cleared out, and it's been like that though for years as far as I'm aware. Nothing much has been done. Here's Kenneth's Crescent. Fine 30s buildings here to my left. Dagger Lane now curves to my right ahead. Got some fancy ironwork here, as this is called Sott's Hole, and it's a local nature preserve. The board shows you what sort of animals that you may spot in this area, such as water voles, sparrows, woodpeckers, and flowers such as foxgloves and bluebells. And what's that? Foxes. Yeah, just as though I think I see most of those in my garden actually. So there you go. There's the trail there, the nature trail through Sott's Hole. But a lot of, as I said many times, that many of these nature reserves and stuff are created because of, prior to that there used to be coal mines, brickworks, that kind of thing. And in this case I think it used to be gravel pits through there. Just take you over here to look at this metal statue that they have just here. The council have placed a little park bench there looking at a pile of nettles perhaps. Let me have a look, see if I sit on this bench. What am I looking at? Yeah. So I sit here and I'm looking at nettles and nettles. Yeah, I'm not too sure why it was positioned that way. Now we say goodbye to Dagger Lane. That's where we've just come from. And now this is where we are heading. It's called Church Vale, with some rather fine detached houses here to my right, and we've still got some of those very fine old terrace properties there on the left, all with its original brickwork. We've got one for sale if you're interested, which is quite enough along here. This is Temple Meadows Road, one of the newer roads that was being constructed in the 30s, 40s. And we've got here just to my left, there looks like a big piece of land here on my left, isn't there? It's all fenced off with a load of trees behind it. You can imagine it used to be probably a house of some sort, I'd have thought then, back then, but full of thickets now. And looking at the state of the growth of the thickets and trees there, it's been like that for quite some time. Another road we'll be having a look at one of these days is Hallam Street, with its many fine terraced houses along here. You can see the signage there. Hallam Street obviously famous for a hospital, once called Hallam Hospital, and it was called Hallam Hospital when I was born there. Hundreds of you. Could you leave your boots outside the front door, please? You can't come in with those, they look rather mucky. Thank you. Okay, we're coming to the end of Church Vale. Just there. As the road ahead will now bear left to Parsonage Street, another very old road. And all these houses here, Church Vale Mews, built near the site of a pub called the Four in Hand. As we bear to the left, we would be and then go right at the traffic lights. We'll be heading towards Walsall. End our little journey along Dagger Lane just about here, where the famous Threepenny Bit fish shop used to be just there, where all these cars were parked on this car park. Long gone now, of course. People still talk of that today, mainly because I think it was the shape, really. Okay, so there was our walk along Dagger Lane then. I hope you enjoyed it, really, because I'm not sure how many people of you have seen Hill House for some time, actually. I don't know if anybody's ever seen Hill House in all its glory. Well, that is quite disgusting, isn't it? For a Grade 2 listed. And it really is just been left. I'm sure the council have got plans for it, to do something with it. But as far as I can see, it's been kind of emptied of a lot of the rubbish, and it's just been planked there, right on the front of the house. It's not secured. Anybody can get in. Anybody could do any damage to that place. And it's incredible that it's not secured properly, because that is a historical building, and as such it ought to be looked after, it ought to be preserved. It's got Grade 2 listing on. It has been since 1972, and I shake my head in disbelief sometimes, because when people recognise, or when people see the Oak House, what they've done with the Oak House, fantastic job. Fabulously preserved, and you can imagine Hill House being exactly the same, but sadly it's looking very neglected. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this walk, this autumnal walk along Dagger Lane, and if you did, hit the like button and also hit subscribe. Hitting subscribe keeps this channel alive. And also hit the notification bell to let yourself know of future videos that I post, as you know, quite regularly. So there you go, and obviously I will see you on the next one.